Hello and welcome to another amazing show. Oh my goodness.
Uh-oh.
An internet.
You're frozen.
Okay, let's hope that this is like the angels are with us today. The angels are with us. They're on our side. Can you hear me, guys and girls? Can you hear me real good? Okay, good. I'm literally in the center of St. Pancras Station.
Oh, wow. You're frozen, but I don't know if you can hear me. I actually lived in London for one summer during college and worked at the BBC.
Oh, wow. Oh, how funny. I'm down there getting interviewed all the time. Well, if I do cut out at any point, Angela, just keep swimming. Just keep going, and it might pop in and out. So welcome, Angela, to today's.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no, this is going to keep cutting out. We have an amazing awakening giant on the show today. Now, you've been hearing from my fellow awakening giants as we've been going through our daily confessions show. But Angela, let's get straight in. Now, you have a legal background and are now working with angels. How did you get from one of those things to the other?
Yeah, I'm an attorney, and this is my 16th year in practice being a lawyer here in Nashville, Tennessee. And I've always been close with the angels. My parents named me Angela, and there's a funny story about that. Maybe we'll have time for it later, but I've always had a really deep connection with the angels. You know, I had a lot of imaginary friends when I was a kid, and those, of course, were my angels. And I've always talked to them. You know, some people, when they pray, they're praying to God. And I'm not praying to the angels, but I talk to the angels. And I always kind of did that. And then more recently, I kind of let that go because I was in a relationship and it ended up being a very terrible relationship for me. And I kind of forgot about all of my spirituality. But then when I decided that I was tired of the nature of the relationship, I said, angels, I need a really big sign. I need to know, am I supposed to stay with this person or am I supposed to move on? And I was really worried because I was in my late 40s or my late 30s and I don't have any children and I want children. And I was like, am I going to be alone for the rest of my life? So I asked for a really big sign. And a few minutes later, I was actually outside walking my dog and I slipped and I fell and I broke my left ring finger. So even after several years of not being really close with them and talking to them, you know, they immediately gave me the sign that I needed. That was the last time I wore my ring, and
wow,
a few months later.
Wow. I mean, and I've been there. I remember I had those same questions. I think I remember waking up on my 31st birthday thinking, what am I actually doing? What am I doing? This is crazy. You know, I'm waking up in a different country to him and this isn't working. If I stay in this relationship, I'm going to end up with kids. I'm going to have a mortgage. I'm going to have all these things. Now is the time. And I wanted a sign. It's so funny how in alignment we are. Guys and girls that are watching this now, have you ever had a sign that like literally you asked for a sign and you got that sign? Share with us in the comments. What was the sign that you asked for and what did you get? I mean, that's pretty significant though. I'd say that was a lot harder than mine. You fall over, you break your ring finger. Like of all the fingers you could have broken, you break that one. And so literally everything snaps in. It all falls into place. And you're like, why the heck was I not listening to you?
Exactly.
So did you get back in alignment straight away? Like, how did you get back into communicating with your angels?
So my parents have always encouraged my relationship, and we've always had personal development books and things like that around our house. Louise Hay wrote her book, You Can Heal Your Life, when I was a kid. And from the minute it was published, it was on our bookshelf. It's been on every bookshelf in every house of finance. So even though I had forgotten about that during this terrible relationship, I was able to go back to that background and rely on that personal development background that I have from my parents. Thankfully, so thankful for them giving that to me. And I was able to go through Louise Hay's teachings about loving yourself. And basically, Sammy, I faked it until I made it. on the, caring about myself. So that's how I did it. And then my connection with the angels just sort of came back naturally after that, because I started talking to them again. Once I got into a space where I liked myself again and I wasn't mad at myself for being in that terrible situation, it just sort of came naturally.
And you must at that time, were you still in the legal profession back then? So you're going through all of this, you're hearing the angels. Did you find that it started to kind of mix in with your work as well? Like you started to get some intuition around that?
Yeah, it definitely mixes in with my lawyer work all the time. I'm able to help my clients see a bigger picture and more of a, caring about themselves and their feelings rather than let's get the other side. And it's really made a huge difference with my clients and the clients that I'm attracting and the cases that I'm attracting and the way that we're able to deal with cases. I mean, I love going to court. It's my favorite part of being a lawyer because I like to talk. But it's not always in the client's best interest to be, dragging to court all the time. So it has really helped me get into that mode of settling cases in a much nicer way and things like that.
Wow. So what's next? Like there's obviously a space for you. Sprite and I were actually talking about you last week. We were saying, oh my goodness, there's such a good space for you right now. There's a massive gap for you in the industry because one of our most famous women in the world who has developed everything on her business based around angels has now decided to become a full Christian and completely turn her back on everything to do with angels. And so there's this gap that has an Angela shaped person waiting to step into that gap. So is that something you're ready for? Are you ready to start getting out there and build a global brand with what you're doing?
Absolutely. Hey, house, I am here. Call me. Let me know. I'm available to be your angel lady from now on. And, I'm a Christian. I grew up in a Baptist church and I believe in God and Jesus and, all of those things. But I also know that there are other beings that support the divine and that we cannot turn our back on those things. And that's the angels are the worker bees and the helpers. And I think it's super important to, make the relationship with those types of people, those types of beings, so that you can have a better relationship with the divine. But yes, I'm available. Call me.
But this is the crazy thing, though, isn't it? I mean, if you think about, how you're building your brand and how everything has come into alignment for literally that person is just, I'm not going to name that person. They've just fallen out of the, the ether. They were so famous, and now you're ready and there's a gap and there's an opportunity for you to step up. So talk to us, tell us, what's your vision? Where are you going?
So
hi, Joe.
One of the most important things to me is that so many people are in this place where they don't like themselves and they're not really listening to the things that are being told to them by the divine and the angels and the divine. And the reason they're not listening is because they're questioning themselves and they're questioning, their love for themselves. And there's so many women in this world that just don't like themselves. They think, oh, I'm going to be great when I'm 10 pounds lighter or 50 pounds lighter, or when I have a husband, or when I have children, or when I have, and they don't realize how amazing and awesome and great they are now. So one of the things that I think is super important is to get rid of all this horrible negative self-talk that everyone seems to have. And I notice it now that I'm paying attention to it for myself. I notice it with my friends. I notice it with my family. I notice it with my clients. They'll say mean things about themselves, and it's just something that they say in everyday words.
Yeah.
And they don't even realize that they've said something negative about themselves. And you're just attracting over and over and over again exactly what you're saying about yourself. So I have developed a 21-day challenge
I can't wait for this.
And the 21-day challenge, we're going to be going through how to get rid of that negative self-talk and really find your wings so that you can fly and soar and be as wonderful as you can possibly be. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be learning how to incorporate spiritual things like crystals and angels and how to talk to them and how to bring them in and how to listen. Because, I mean, you can ask a bunch of questions, and people do. They ask questions all the time, but they're not listening and they don't see the answer. But the answer comes when you ask.
Very interesting. Well, I'm looking forward to that. I've just put the link for that in the bottom of the screen there. So 21 days to find your wings challenge. Head over to Angela's Facebook page. So she has a page called Angela Hoover Speaker. So if you go and type that into the search bar at the top of the Facebook screen, you'll be able to find Angela's page. Go like that, and then make sure you follow it as well, so you get all of the notifications about when that challenge is coming out. So Angela, let's get down and dirty into Awakening Giants. Now, you and I were on 2 totally different episodes, so I never got the opportunity to meet you, although I've heard so much about you. Everyone's raving about you.
Oh, thanks.
So which location did you go to, and what was like the hardest thing that they made you do?
I went to New Zealand, and New Zealand was all about finding your next edge. And they took us to the edge physically, emotionally, and spiritually in New Zealand. And I think really the hardest thing for me was actually opening up and talking about my journey. That was the first time I'd actually said, you know, I was in this abusive relationship and I got myself out, and here's how I did it. And I said it on TV. So like that was a really big deal. It's the first time I've even admitted it to myself, I think. And so that was definitely the hardest thing I did. I loved all of the physical challenges that we had. I thought they were great. You know, some of the people were that they would say that those were their hardest things that they did. But for me, it was really the opening up and actually saying to the world, I'm not as perfect as I seem to be. But I have like real issues like other people as well.
Yeah, I think actually Joe, who's on here right now, we only met like a week ago, and I was speaking at an event in Brighton in the UK, and Joe was at the event, and we were having drinks after the event one evening, and she said, so like, what were some of the things that they made you do on this Awakening Giants show? And I was like, oh, seriously, it doesn't sound like it's much to someone sitting outside of it, but when you're in there, you're in this bubble, and you've got a camera in your face, and you've got like confession cams in your bedroom, which are expected to get up and confess, you know, in the morning and at night, and like, you know, they put you under this intense pressure and then send you off to go and do something that, like, you know, usually you'd find pretty easy, but once they've broken you emotionally and spiritually and physically and before they've done the building back up again, they then send you to do this thing which we usually would be fine, but now you're like this, oh my gosh, you're looking at it through totally different filters. I cannot wait to see it, because obviously the soft launch is happening in April, so it's like 2 years ago we filmed it, and finally we're going to get to see the result. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm so excited. And then after I went to New Zealand, I actually went to India. Awakening Giants partnered with the Women's Economic Forum, and back in January I went to Madurai, India, and I spoke at the Women's Economic Forum back in Madurai. And from there, I was invited to the annual Women Economic Forum in Egypt. So I just actually got back from Egypt from speaking.
I saw you were in Egypt with my friend Sarah Ross. I don't know if you got a chance to meet Sarah. Did you? Long dark hair.
We're Facebook friends, and we said hi to each other, but we didn't get a chance to talk. So I'm looking forward to
how funny.
Online.
Yeah, well, hopefully you can come to the Changemaker Summit that I'm running in December, from the 4th to the 7th of December in Miami. And I think Sarah's going to be there. So finally you'll get to meet if you.
Awesome.
A lot of the Awakening Giants documentary team are going to be at the summit. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I'll send you some information. Joe says she has so much respect for us both. Well, Joe, maybe you should be in Awakening Giants. Yes. I've already put through a couple of people from the event last week who said, I'd love to find out more about that. So I've introduced them to Sprite, and she's having conversations with them now. You know, this is about you stepping into who you really are, like, and you really are that star. You're already burning brightly. It's just you're not burning brightly big enough for everyone to see that you're the lighthouse for them. And that's a good opportunity for you to do so. So, Angela, this is Confessions of a Global Changemaker. I would like to know, what would your confession be of something that you've been through in business where you would never do it that way again? And if somebody else were watching this right now going, fuck, I'm going through that exact same thing, you would be able to say, you know what, if you're going through this, don't ever do it this way. Like, what would your confession be?
Yeah. Okay. So you guys, there's so many courses and so many classes and all of the things. And I am a class junkie. I buy all of the classes. If there's a class about business or spiritual stuff, I own it. I own like 90% of the Hay House library. I'm serious. So like, listen, but you know how many I've finished? Like 2.
Yeah.
So my big confession is, don't be a course junkie and buy them all and then not do them. Find one that you feel really drawn to. If you feel like you need a course for whatever, find it, do it all the way through before you buy anything else. And it doesn't matter that they make these amazing offers for all of these other courses that you can buy. Buy the one, do it, actually do the work, and then give yourself time to process it. Because now I feel bad that I have all these courses that I've spent all this money on and I haven't done any of them. And I feel a little bit overwhelmed. And that's really bad when you're trying to do things. And then the other thing is, you don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be exactly right for you to launch it. Just launch it. Like, my stuff isn't exactly right. I'm sure Sammy would like for some of her stuff to be different than it actually is. But it doesn't have to be perfect for you to get yourself out there. There are people waiting to hear your message that really need your message to be able to move forward with their lives.
So fabulous. I mean, that's both of those are really big things. You know, I say perfection is poverty and paralysis. Because it does. It stops you from going forward. Christine Wright, one of our Brand Builders Club members, messaged me last night, and she said, "Oh my God, did you see me? I just went live in this group and I shared my story for the first time." She said, and I said, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of you." And she went, "Oh, but it wasn't perfect." And I was like, "Listen, imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. You got shit done. You did it.
Absolutely.
Now you've like the cherry is broken. Now it's like now you can get out there and actually start doing this properly, you know, and you didn't die. How about that? Like, you got your message out there, people loved it, and now you can keep inspiring the world with what you've got tucked in there that they're all waiting to hear."
Exactly. And you know, Sammy, the other thing that I have found is, if I do a video and I'm like, "Oh, that was bad," people love it. They want to hear it because they want to hear the message. They don't care if your hair looks pretty or if your makeup is just right or whatever. They don't care about that. They don't care if you said or like. I say like in so many ways. They don't care if you say that. They care about the message. So it's important to move forward and not be stuck.
It's very important to do that. I'm at a mastermind today in London, which is where I've snuck out from to do the interview. I'm going to sneak back again in a minute. But that was one of the things that we were talking about today. And so one of the members of the mastermind was, you know, getting quite stressed about, but how do I do this? You know, I really want to build a community, but how do I build a community? And I want to create an online product, but how do I create the online product? And I said, seriously, like, you're worried so much about the how. I've got a little workbook that's 7 steps to getting early adopters to pay you to create what you're about to create, even if you don't know what you're about to create yet. Like, you know, you've got to think about what the customer wants and build it around them, because I see so often people go straight into building something, creating something. They take all this time, money, and energy. They learn about it. They buy more courses about it. They perfect it. And by the time they've got it out there, the market's totally changed. They're not delivering what the clients want anymore.
Right.
So I said, you know, forget about all of that. You know, don't make it perfect. In fact, you don't want it to be finished at all when you start selling it, unless you're selling, you know, like a physical product or something where it has to be finished. But, you know, if you're going into that online space, as Angela and I are in, then, you know, you can perfect it as you go along. And, you know, and then your brand will become really strong by doing that. Angela, what's next for you? So you've got this challenge that's coming out. We've got Awakening Giants is launching next month. What else is happening in your world?
Well, I do angel readings, so I'm doing those pretty regularly. You can also sign up at the Angela Hoover speaker page for that if you're interested in an angel reading. And I'm building my brand. That's what I'm doing,
Yes.
and that's what's next. So I'm working on that, and I am loving being on other people's podcasts and video casts. So maybe I'll start something like that. Who knows? I don't know.
Yep.
And then I've been also working on launching a YouTube channel as well, so that I can do weekly card readings. And we'll do, like a weekly report, and get card readings out to everybody so that they can see what are in the cards for the week.
Fabulous, fabulous. Well, do you have your cards to hand right now? I'm thinking it'd be kind of fun if we could pull a card for everybody watching the show right now. Like, what is the message that everybody most needs to hear? How do you fancy that, guys and girls? Should we see if we can do it?
I'm at my lawyer office. I don't have any cards with me. Yeah, I don't have any here. I'm so sorry.
Oh, we won't be doing that today. I did kind of spring it on you.
I'll tell you what. I'll draw a card after this when I get home, and I'll post it in the group. How about that?
Fabulous, fabulous. I would love that. Now, Joe would love that too. Yeah, perfect. So, Angela, we've had the confession. We know what's coming next for you. So if you could sit down and have dinner with like one major celebrity, somebody who, like, whether they're alive, maybe they've passed over, like, who would that be? And what question do you think you would ask them if you had them in front of you?
A celebrity? Well, I don't know. My celebrities are a little different than maybe some other people's celebrities, but so I have two people that I would want to have dinner with. One is Reed Tracy, the CEO of Hay House, and the other is Andy Cohen of Bravo TV. And I would sit down and ask them, what do I need to do to get on the Hay House roster and on Bravo TV? Because I think there's a really big, reality television, especially with Awakening Giants, there's a really big hole in reality TV right now. And, it doesn't have to all be fighting and backstabbing in order to be interesting. And I'm so proud to be part of the Awakening Giants community because we were able to prove that. And I'm so looking forward to all of the episodes coming out and the launch starting in April so that people can actually see these things. And I think that it's really important to sort of mainstream the things that we're doing and making it okay to be nice in business and making it okay to be spiritual in business and making all of those things okay and more mainstream. And I don't want to be the one that people are like, oh, she's a little weird because she talks to angels. That shouldn't even be in the equation. Everybody ought to be.
Yeah. I mean, it's brilliant how you've brought it into your brand, because I have so many people ask me questions about that. And so many people join Brand Builders Club with this, like, shit, I've got this professional head, and then I've got this really like spiritual side. Other people call it woo-woo. I've got this woo-woo side to me. How do I bring those two things together? And you've managed to do that beautifully. So what when you were branding yourself, what was going through your mind about how you bring those two things together? You've got these two worlds that are so totally different. They're like polar opposite. And yet you've managed to bring them together.
It was really important to me because my law practice is very successful and I don't advertise at all. All of my business is based solely on referrals. And that is something that is really important to me. And I'm very proud of. And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't, sort of ruining my reputation with, the woo-woo stuff. And woo-woo has never been a bad word to me. I've been exposed to things, card readers and mediums and energy healers since I was a little kid. And, I don't have a problem with that. And it's not a big deal to me, but I know that it's a big deal to other people. And so it was really important to me not to ruin my lawyer brand by sort of outing myself about the angels. And the way that I did it is I just acted like myself, because people that know me know that I'm going to talk about the archangels, or that I'm going to talk about, these particular things, but I'm not one of these people that's going to dye my hair pink and wear a flower crown. And I'm a lawyer, so I'm in a professional setting, and, I might get intuitive hits on, we need to do it this way, or we need to say something that way, or, the client is really feeling uncomfortable right now. Maybe you could say this or that to them, but I'm doing it in a professional manner. And so that was one of the things for me, is like kind of merging that right brain and left brain. Part of me was making sure that I'm doing the woo-woo in a professional way. And even with the angels, they're a little bit different than, like a card reader that you might like Miss Cleo on TV or whatever. It's not like that. It's more of a professional kind of conversation. And that's how I do it and I think that people respect that, because I'm not being fake about it. If I were to show up with my friends and have like, a flower crown or something in my hair and like, reading cards, they would be like, who are you? But if I show up in a suit with my cards, they're like, oh, okay, let's read some angel cards.
So well, I think there's a professional credibility about that, isn't there?
Sure. And then,
wow.
It's like the other part of it is I just believe it. So it is. And if you're wishy-washy about it, people aren't going to believe it.
I like that. If I believe it, so it is. I think that's a real key message for all of you watching this right now is, there's such a, it only takes that little seed of worried about what you look like or what you sound like, or, that kind of the fear of rejection, the fear of failure. And when you're in a very public space, which will happen as you start to build your brand, it becomes more public. There's a lot more people watching what's happening, and you can start to feel that pressure sometimes. But if you have complete belief, if you were to use that statement in everything that you do, it's like, well, hang on a minute, I believe in this, I know that this can work. And so I love that. That message. Maybe you should have that printed on t-shirts.
That's a really good idea. I will do that. And then the other thing that is super important is don't attach yourself to certain people, because there are going to be people that don't resonate with what you're saying. And that's okay. I tell people all the time, take what you resonate with and forget about the rest. And that's fine. And I will say that some people have dropped out of my life since I've been more open about this spiritual connection and things like that. But a lot more people have shown up in my life that are supportive and that are wonderful about it than have left.
You've got to let go to grow. Exactly. And it will happen. That will happen. That's a big concern for a lot of people. It was a concern for me. And I think that if only we were to have that crystal ball, maybe everyone needs to have that reading with you, because you can give them that clarity. Hang on a minute, like you're going in the right direction. If you were actually to stop doing this and start doing that, then you can't help but get a result when you put 100% of your energy into something. If 100% of your energy is going into, what if it fails? What if it doesn't work? And you've got other people around you also giving you that, it ain't gonna work. But that seed of belief, when 2 or more people gather together and they believe in the same thing, it can work. And you give it that 100%, it absolutely will work. Angela, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. I know you've got a crazy busy schedule. I'm so grateful and blessed that you were able to come and shine the light on you and our audience today.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching your journey. It's going to be very exciting.
Thank you.
Right, guys and girls, well, it is the weekend. Whoop, whoop. I hope you're going to celebrate your amazing week and that you've had some great successes over the last 5 days. We'll be back for the next Confessions of a Global Changemaker on Monday, live at 5. So have a wonderful weekend. And I think, Joe, it helps to hear this happens to everyone. Very true. Well, I think that's the key thing, is we just be that one drop. Joe, if we were that one drop for you today, then we've done what we came here to do. So take care. Lots of love. Have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday. Mwah. Bye. Thank you, Angela. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.